I have all kinds of things in here, and oh my heavens! Look at what I just discovered. This is actually an old heirloom of Stanford. Do any of you remember the best Chinese restaurant that was ever in Stanford? Chin's, on the very beginning of Long Ridge Road. Well, that was Chinese food at its best. You walked in there, you smelled the flavor, right? You know, my dad used to get shrimp and lobster sauce, and it was, I don't mean it in a bad way, but it smelled like low tide. You could smell the shrimp and the ocean in it and everything else. I used to get the sweet and sour chicken, and it was the best anywhere ever. Never found anything like it since. Sweet and sour chicken has turned into chicken nuggets no matter where you go. But I'm getting off the subject. Their chins, their egg rolls, they were the best too. So good that I made a rubber mold out of them a long time ago. This is one of Chin's egg rolls. So it was a double part casting, right? So you put them together, and this is what their egg roll used to look like. Look at the size. They don't make them like this anymore. Anyway, why don't we put this together and make it look like an egg roll? So here's our egg roll. And now I want it to look like an egg roll. So it's plaster, and I'm thinking I'm going to put some amber shellac on this and see what it looks like. You want to get that crunchy, baked in, crispy look around the edges. Ladies and gentlemen, last seen was 1976. I give you the original Chin's egg roll. Look at how nice and full it was. Look at how crispy and crunchy it was. Handmade and filled with delicious foods inside. Sure do miss them. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a relic of Stanford, Chin's. Their famous egg rolls.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? This one's going to be a little different.
Yeah, this one's really interesting.
So, you know how you all keep sending in your suggestions for deep dives? Well, one of you sent in this YouTube transcript. It's this guy, Mark DeVito, and he's talking about this Chinese restaurant, Chin's, over in Stanford.
Sounds pretty standard so far.
Right. But here's the thing. He's not just talking about the food. I mean, he is, but it's more than that. He made this, get this, a plaster cast of an egg roll.
An egg roll?
Yep, a plaster egg roll. Like he made a mold of a Chin's egg roll and cast it in plaster. So that's what we're deep diving into today. What does this plaster egg roll tell us about memory, about food, about us.
I love it. It's so quirky, but it is interesting, right? Like, why go to that length?
Exactly. So Lumpf jumped in right off the bat, this DeVito guy. He doesn't just tell you about the food at Chin's, he really tries to put you there.
Right. Like, he talks about the smell of the shrimp and lobster sauce.
Yeah. And he even compares it to, like, the smell of low tide.
Which, okay, not always the most appealing smell, but I get what he's saying. It's like he's trying to capture that whole sensory experience.
Totally. It's like he's trying to, like, relive it or something. Though I do have to wonder if maybe he's romanticizing it a bit, Maybe Chin's wasn't actually that amazing.
Maybe. But that's the thing about food memories, isn't it? They're tied up with all these emotions and senses. I mean, smell is super powerful, right? Can trigger memories like it snaps fingers.
Yeah.
And then nostalgia kicks in.
And suddenly that shrimp and lobster sauce is the best thing you ever tasted.
Exactly. Even if it, objectively, it wasn't all that.
So this DeVito guy, he keeps mentioning how he hasn't found sweet and sour chicken as good as Chin's since it closed. I kind of feel him on that, honestly. There's this place I used to go to as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
That have the best pizza. Haven't found anything that even comes close.
It makes you wonder how much of it is the actual taste versus, like, longing for a time in your life.
Right. Because, I mean, sweet and sour chicken in, the 70s when this guy was going to Chin's, that was probably a whole different dish than what we get now.
Totally. Like, you think about it, sweet and sour chicken back then, it was probably made with canned pineapple chunks, that super bright red sauce.
Yeah, that almost fake-looking red sauce.
Exactly. And today, it's all fresh pineapple, more nuanced flavors, less sugar, probably.
So his taste buds might be tricking him a little. Or maybe Chin's really was just that good. But, okay, let's talk about this plaster egg roll, right?
Let's get to the heart of it.
Like, who makes a plaster cast of an egg roll? What's that all about?
I think it's more than just the egg roll. I think it's like he's trying to hold on to a feeling, like a connection to a specific time and place in his life. It's literally like he's trying to grab a piece of his past and make it solid, make it real.
And he even talks about this last scene he remembers, like the last time he was at Chin's, and it was 1976. Like, think about 1976. What was happening then?
Post-Vietnam War, disco was just starting. Huge changes happening.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's part of what he's clinging to, right?
Yeah. It's like this food memory is tied up in all these bigger cultural shifts too,
Absolutely. And it makes you think, what about your own food memories? Like, think about pivotal times in your life. What were the foods you were eating then? Do they say something about that time? Did they reflect the things happening around you?
Whoa. See, this is why I love these deep dives. Plaster egg roll leads to existential food questions. It's amazing.
That's the magic of it, right? It's just food, but it's not just food.
Exactly. And that's what this whole deep dive is about, right? It's about how food can be this window into not just our own personal histories, but like bigger cultural things, societal changes, all that.
It's like looking through a culinary time capsule.
Exactly. So I have a question for everyone listening. If you could do what this guy did, if you could preserve one food memory, like capture one dish, one taste, what would it be?
Ooh, good one.
And what would that choice say about you, about that time in your life?
That's something to chew on.
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.
See you then.